The day Rome nearly ceased to exist began with a breath of wind across dry grass, and a boy trying to calm the thundering of his own heart. The sun over Cannae was merciless, a disk of white fire hanging above a plain already thick with dust. 80,000 Roman soldiers shifted uneasily in their ranks, their armor heating like stoves. Among them stood Publius Cornelius Scipio, 18 years old, his hand tight on the reins of his horse. A patrician by birth, a soldier by necessity, a survivor in the making. He had seen fear before, but never this kind. This fear was alive. It breathed across the formation like an invisible animal, settling on every man in the line. Across the field, Hannibal's army waited, Iberians with their bright oval shields, Libyans tall and disciplined, armored in linen and bronze, Gauls bare-chested and hungry for Roman blood, Numidian cavalry perched on small, fast horses, their bodies poised like coiled springs. And at the center, Hannibal Barca, the man Rome had sworn to kill or die trying. The morning felt stretched, unnatural, like the world itself was holding its breath for what came next. Then the Carthaginian horn sounded. Hannibal moved first, pushing his skirmishers forward in a loose, taunting advance. Their javelins rattled harmlessly off Roman shields, exactly as intended. Scipio felt the tactic even before he understood it. Hannibal wasn't trying to break Rome's line. He was trying to pull it forward. And Rome obliged. The massive Roman infantry block thundered ahead, swallowing distance, swallowing dust, swallowing the bait. The Carthaginian center bent like a bowstring. It should have snapped. It was supposed to snap. But instead it curved perfectly. A crescent shaped by genius. Scipio saw the danger before many older officers did. The flanks. The flanks were too exposed. Numidian riders vanished from sight, and that terrified him more than seeing them at all. He shouted to nearby cavalrymen, "Hold the edges! Hold them!" But his voice drowned in the roar of 80,000 Roman boots. The trap snapped shut. Numidian cavalry crashed into the Roman rear. Libyan infantry surged from the wings, fresh and deadly, stabbing inward into the packed Roman mass. Panic turned the center into a suffocating circle where men had no room to swing swords. The sound wasn't a battle cry. It was drowning. Scipio was dragged into the chaos, shields smashing, horses screaming, dust thick as smoke. He felt the crush closing in, bodies pressed so tight he could barely breathe. For a moment he thought, "This is how I die." But fate, as always, had other plans. A battered officer, his face streaked with grime and fear, seized Scipio's arm. "Boy, you want Rome to live? Then you must live!" He shoved Scipio toward a sliver of open space where Roman resistance hadn't yet collapsed. Scipio fought through, slashing, ducking, pushing past men who would never leave the field. A cavalryman pulled him onto a horse, and the survivors fled in a desperate break before the Carthaginian noose tightened completely. When Scipio finally looked back, he saw only a storm of dust and death where Rome's greatest army had stood. He wanted to weep, he wanted to scream, he wanted to ride back and die with them. But something harder formed inside him instead, a vow. Rome could lose battles, Rome could bleed, Rome could break, but Rome would not die. Not if he lived. The survivors reached Rome days later, starved, hollow-eyed, scarcely believing they still walked the earth. The city felt smaller, quieter, as if the stones themselves sensed the disaster. In emergency session, the Senate trembled. Should we negotiate? Some asked. Should we accept terms? Scipio, young, untested, soot-stained from the worst massacre in Roman history, stepped forward. He stared at men twice, even 3 times his age. "No, we do not bargain for life. We fight for it." The words struck the chamber like a spark in dry grass, and Rome, shaken but unbroken, chose to fight on. Cannae had not destroyed Rome. It had created the man who would someday destroy Hannibal. But surviving devastation is only the beginning. To rise from it, Rome would have to transform itself into something Hannibal could no longer predict or control.